In today's video, we're going to take a look at Lolth and the Demonweb Pits. This is the final video for the Demonweb Pits campaign in Neverwinter, and it deals with a lot of really cool lore. It's going to take us to some neat quests. It's also going to be a little strange plot, as you'll see. And we're going to see a lot of callbacks to old lore and big lore, kind of the fabric of how Neverwinter and the Forgotten Realms work. So big on this, there is some art that has existed for a long time. Here you go. This is a classic one from the 3rd edition days, I believe. And this is Lolth kind of on almost like if you've seen the movie The Matrix, it's almost like that. The idea of all these souls sort of being tied to pillars, and they're going to be, drained and fed upon by spiders in some plot that Lolth has going on. Some amazing art over the ages. Lolth has looked like this in 4th edition. Really cool looking. I love this art, one of my favorites. And she can also be seen in recent Magic the Gathering art looking like this really cool combination of spider and elf, drow elf. She's got a victim wrapped in the picture on the right. Really cool. So we're going to meet up with her and see what she looks like in this video. Lolth also has the ability to look at like a drow, as she does in this classic art, but she does not do so in this particular adventure. At least if she does, we do not know who she is. She's, I think, busy tricking Gromf by Enre yet again, as she is wont to do, and doesn't seem to be tricking us. And if you really want to go back to the old art, this is where she appeared long ago, the queen of the Demonweb Pits. She is that sort of black spider in the upper right quadrant there, surrounded by sort of these interesting, spiders, but they're really kind of more like pedipalps and things like that. Kind of interesting. That's the classic adventure that kind of started all of this and led later on to R.A. Salvatore's work and all of this. So I had a lovely time back in the day fighting through this adventure. So we're going to take a look at all of this lore and what it means to face off against Lolth and see what she brings to the table and how this campaign wraps up. All right, so one of the cool things we talked about was how the room changes. I just did a quest. I didn't bother with capturing it because it's really just like go, beat up some thugs or I guess evil drow, and you talk to a person they've got bound. It's sort of like one of the many rescue a captive. Somehow it's different because they're mages, and I bring them here and look, all of the little containers that I got before, now they glow because I guess the mages helped, do something to them magical, and now they're full of magic-y stuff. The other thing is, remember the parts that were just sitting there? They're now all assembled, and I can put in the Realm Engine key, which is another quest I did not capture because it really is just beat up creatures until one of them drops a key. So you never know what's going to happen. If you do like a big heroic encounter, it pretty much drops during that. So that's exactly what happened for me. Now I put in the little key into this thing, and it starts spinning. Magic! There it is. So that is the Realm Engine. Pretty neat. And I can talk to Nuri Benre and turn in major key. The key has been located. The engine has started. We're ready to begin, and not a moment too soon. Our spies have indicated that Gromf has started his ritual to bind Lolth within the Narbondel. So, all right, we just got like maybe information that was sort of hinted at. I don't honestly recall. I feel like it wasn't super obvious, but now it's really like Gromf is trying to bring Lolth into that tower. I'm not sure exactly why. Like, that's what the kind of thing where I go like, wait, why? Why you want a goddess inside of there? That seems really ridiculous. And there's a long tradition of Lolth making people think that their ideas are their own when they're really Lolth's. And even with Gromf by Enre. And this already happened once in Neverwinter, and I think in the novels. So it's completely absurd that somehow this would all be happening. But, I guess Gromf is just a sucker for this sort of stuff. That's going to give us a quest, which is kind of a major storyline piece, to confront Gromf at the base of the Narbondel, which is pretty cool. So we know where he is. We'll give you the location, and we're going to meet you there with the Realm Engine. How cool is that? It's portable. Be prepared for a fight. Okay, that'll be kind of like always. Probably obvious by now that my cousin isn't the type of person to take losing lightly. Yeah, I guess I get that. So that's kind of nice. I actually thought it was part of the campaign, but it's not. It's just storyline related. When you get far enough in the campaign and you unlock these story pieces, we do get a nice little piece here that I like, which is to read the Realm Engine plans, and this gives us some sweet lore. The ancient hierarchical magocracy of the Netherrealm Empire persisted for several thousand years. This lost pinnacle of human civilization, a little bit of strong wording, but okay, these very super advanced people were first introduced, technologically, magically speaking, were first introduced to magic by the Erlani elves of the High Forest. This is going back, way back in the story of Faerun, of the Forgotten Realms. In time, the Netherese stumbled, using that information, upon the ruins of the lost Saruk people, a reptilian race which had thrived ages before. Explorations into the ruins of Saruk lead to the discovery of what eventually be named the Netherese Scrolls, which is hilarious because, of course, they're not Netherese, they're Saruk. Powerful artifacts of immense arcane knowledge. And it sounds like they just have knowledge, but really it's the kind of thing where if you open it, your mind begins to expand and might actually be destroyed by the scrolls. So you have to like really slowly, carefully study these things to even comprehend the mysteries there. And it's really like absurdly powerful levels of magic and knowledge. So as the Netherese dug into these scrolls over the years, they understand sort of completely, it's sort of like quantum physics of magic, entirely different fundamental ways that magic can work, and their power greatly expands. This is the kind of thing that leads to things like the Netherese floating cities that we've talked about before on this show. Abandoning the magic shared to them by the Erlani, the scholars of Netherrealm pushed the boundaries of magic past what was thought possible. And as I understand it, it's not that the Erlani didn't know there were these other kinds of magic, or even that the Saruk didn't, but more so they respected that you only go so far. And of course, the Netherese, just like the dwarves in Lord of the Rings, they dug too deep. So one such group of arcane researchers learned that the weave, the source of all magic in the material plane, could be manipulated through means other than traditional spellcasting. Combining spellcraft and artificing, various mechanisms were produced, allowing these curious mages to experience the magic of the weave in ways never imagined. Various contraptions gave them the ability to open doorways to other planes of existence, bend space-time, and change the very fabric of the weave itself. Of these various apparatuses, one such device existed, simply known as the Realm Engine. This orrery, when powered with magic, allowed the Netherese to send explorers out into the deepest reaches of the outer planes. Only two plans for the Realm Engine are known to exist. The first was lost when the Great Archives were destroyed during the fall of the Netherrealm, Netherese Empire, I guess I mean to say, and the second was stolen, having never been recovered. So, yeah, so here we are. We actually have a Realm Engine at our disposal. How incredible is that? I think this is just another quest that I have to turn in later. So we have restored the Realm Engine. This is the thing that when it was put together, apparently destroyed much of the neighborhood and wounded all kinds of wizards and everything. Well, we apparently did it right this time. And somehow we were evolved. I always think this is really interesting, this sort of savior thing, where it's like this outsider, right? Us, we come in and we somehow save everything, even though they're the people who understand all of it. And it's, I think it's a little problematic in games, but I mean, it is what it is, and we're just going to have to deal with it. So we are going to go, oh yeah, we can just actually quest travel, because it's not, though we're technically going kind of over this way in the map, we're going to do it by traveling in the map to the foot of the Narbondel. Dun, 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 dun. Exciting. And I really love this location. I mean, take a look at this. It is gorgeous. So it's, you know, there's the Narbondel, and we are, in theory, you know, as part of the Narbondellyn district. We've got all the super cool drow houses. We've got our little campfire here to rest in. There's the Realm Engine, and Nuri Banner is here.
It's finally time.
It's finally time. I need you to clear a path to the ritual site. When you've cleared the area, send a signal and we'll get the Realm Engine into position so we close these rifts. Okay, So the rifts are powering the ritual, probably, maybe. And there's some neat little rooms and offshoots here, which I'll take the time to look at because they're just really, really cool. Yeah, so we will now travel along this route. There are some neat, again, little kind of locations. I always like it when there are these, there's no reason to come in here, but you can. And it just looks really cool, really Drow architecture-ish. I mean, the team has done an amazing job on that. So we can now just tear into these enemies. And they are surprisingly easy. I don't really know why, because this is theoretically like a thrilling quest, but it's really easy. Now here you see the damage that... Well, I think it's supposed to be the damage that was caused by the first use of it, but maybe it's also what Gromp's ritual is doing. And you can see in the distance sort of ritual sites there. But this is super cool. But I mean, I think this is supposed to be kind of what happened when they first used the realm engine. So demons are summoned by Gromp to stop us. Here's another neat little courtyard. Very cool. All the spiderwebs. I'm not sure why there's that much spiderwebbing, but okay, fine. Maybe it's because Lolth is being summoned and it's just changing the nature of the place. Everything is absurdly easy. Here's an elfish knee, which these are, incredibly powerful demons of the abyss, and I mean they basically melt like hot butter. And this is not a super optimized character. This is true of all my characters. They just all kind of destroy each, like just absolutely melt under any kinds of attacks, which is fine. I mean, I don't need to fight my 4,000 millionth demon, but still, it is a little weird. I'll just bring them all here, because why not? So yeah, there's this cool, super cool looking rift that we saw, a second ago. Really neat looking, and lots of demons that are here trying to, I guess, I don't know, maybe brought out of it. Who knows what the deal is. There's Succubi and Elfishni and Zithars, and we are going to tear through them all. You see my companion's gotten tired. My companion does a lot of, it was Regis, the halfling this time. He does a lot of the fighting, and I can see when he runs out of he goes through his cycle of super powerful attacks, and then runs out, and then everything gets slower to murderize. Super cool. I like how those blocks and things kind of come out of it. They do not interact with me. I checked to see if I could somehow jump on one and be pulled up, but no, they do not. But yeah, really neat, amazing, looks so cool, love it. And that's the kind of thing that just describing this, when you're running a role-playing game, is just so fun to just see characters, imagine it. And it's honestly my favorite thing about Dungeons & Dragons was I remember just the DM explaining a thing and how much fun it was for me to just imagine that was a thing that my character was experiencing. And just think through that was just really one of the most pleasing aspects of role-playing games, and still is today. Love just imagining the things the Dungeon Master is explaining to me. And it's also really fun in video games that are D&D video games to see what they look like, right? Yeah, cool, I get that. This is turned physical, right? It's like the visual representation is there, and it's not just art, which I love art. It's 3D, which is even better. Very cool, floating elements there. So we'll continue to carve through Hezro and Hellhounds and all sorts of things like that. We can see here, looking back at where we were before, you see the Realm Engine still there. Oh, in fact, I think I messed up. I didn't call the Realm Engine after I took out those guys. So we'll walk that way while I claim whatever my reward is. Okay. We will go back and say, oops, because they're waiting for the signal after I cleared this, and I totally forgot. Here we go. Running through. I think the rift should deal damage to you. That's one thing. You shouldn't just be able to walk through a rift to the abyss and just be totally fine. All right, here we go. I properly now did what they told me to do. I call the Realm Engine. They appear there, and I can activate it, and it'll close the rift. Dun, 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 dun. Hey, look at that. It's a nice green courtyard. Well done, mages. We did it. So House Faybranch is going to, again, wait back there until we clear the next spot. I mean, look how neat that is, huh? That's the foot of Narbondellyn, of the Narbondel. The district is Narbondellyn. I mean, that is way cool. That is awesome. Love it. That also looks really cool. And here we go. There's another ritual site. The second rift. And just, I mean, so many places you can look and just see, yeah, towers spinning around. And I mean, that is cool. I could just look at this sort of stuff all day. All right, let's bring 2 groups at once. See if we can survive that. We should be able to. Wah, 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 wah. That's so many demons. I mean, what are we doing? Somehow it works. Oh, and some Drow too. That was an Arachnomancer. I like this rift. Has even bigger chunks, but again, they do not harm us if one happens to be nearby. I don't think they go through you, which I thought is neat. Some of them like seem to code it so like a piece of brick won't actually appear when you're standing in that spot. It's kind of neat. Well done, whoever did that. I did not dodge that very well, but hey. And then I like this, that when the last guy comes out, hey, it's a Balor. Aragath the Unbroken is there, or a Pit Fiend. There we go. He comes at me, but he doesn't even reach me, because that's how easy it is to defeat Aragath the Unbroken. Okay. That's a little bit of a letdown, gotta admit. But sometimes that happens in D&D. You think you have the most amazing encounter, and then your players just tear it up without any consequence whatsoever. So this time we will remember to send the signal. They teleport, I guess, here. We activate the realm engine. It's cool they let us do it. You know, it's silly. I mean, you wouldn't let the random adventurer, you know, might be a barbarian or whatever. I'm a ranger. Like, why would I do that? But, you know, in terms of rewarding payoff, it feels good that you get to do it. We'll just take a quick look here at how neat this looks. So you can see these, you know, doorways that break off and used to travel there, but now it's all completely broken. And same thing over here. There's this area, kind of cool. And then over here, this is a really neat scene. You know, just wild. Oh, can you die? No, you can't. You can't fall off, but you can take a look at it. Very cool. All right, so we have summoned them. They've closed the second rift, and now we clear path to Grom's ritual site. Possessed thralls, all kinds of stuff. Succubi. I mean, just like, I'd like to know if you're a drow, like, I don't care how evil you are, you're just hanging around with a succubi, a Glablezaru, a Hezro demon. What do you talk about? That'd be so uncomfortable. Oh man, but it sure looks good. It may not always make sense, but it sure looks good. So we are at the ritual site. You can look back on areas where we were, and there's the ritual site. That is a dread gazebo right there. That's, I mean, what is this? A gazebo with rifts for windows. Not good. And then we get these like sort of silly spiders. These Demonweb spiders, there were kind of neat spiders in the original Demonweb Pits adventure, which maybe next time I'll do a quick kind of showing of the Drow actual printed products that existed and just kind of compare and contrast what they're doing here. I'll just bring a bunch of these guys around me. But they're neat. These are sort of like phase spiders that are Demonweb Pit spiders. And yeah, I should say, you know, lore-wise, because I don't think I mentioned this in great detail since the first time, that we can see Grumph there on the other side doing his ritual. The Demonweb Pits, you know, what that is. In Neverwinter, it's sort of the final adventure you get to do, and sometimes you get sort of elements of the Demonweb Pits, because I guess they're sort of intruding on this area through all these rifts. And here's Lolth, the Queen of Spiders, as she's called, Queen of the Drow. But let's kind of pause here and just talk about the Demonweb Pits. So Lolth is, and Lolth as well. Lolth was a drow. The drow are elves. They're a type of elf, and the drow, it is said in sort of the myth of everything, the drow were a group of elves that followed Lolth, who was the sister of Corellon, one of the main elven gods, and they fought. And
when they fought, it's sort of unclear. The history's been revised in a number of steps, but it appears that, and I'll have to look this and maybe do a better job of going over it, but the kind of off the top of my head, the idea is that Corellon does some things that are a little bit like dirty tricks, even though he's supposed to be totally good. He's also chaotic in many ways, as many elves are, and so he does some things that aren't quite on the up and up with Lolth. Lolth greatly regrets that. Lolth tries to, sort of stab in the back, and what ends up happening is that Lolth is cast away into, I believe, into the abyss, or ends up being in the abyss as a result of being cast away, and her people are cast away. They are forced to go underground. And then it's said that they go so deep that they end up in this Underdark with the radiation, and the radiation, maybe Fezris, maybe something else, changes them to where their skin's different, and they have magic items that are different. So like in the original versions of the game, if you had drow weaponry and stuff, they could be really powerful and cool, but when you got up to the surface, a few weeks later the magic completely faded, and you had to return to the Underdark if you weren't going to lose the magic. It's kind of a neat concept, kind of silly, but so that's where the kind of traditional stories of drow were going into the Underdark, and the idea of the Underdark, kind of like we saw in this first part of Neverwinter way back many videos ago, coming up to the surface, bubbling from underneath, kidnapping people, taking them, striking, stealing, and going away. That kind of a concept. That has matured over time, like you see here, with much better stories about how the drow are varied people. Those that follow Lolth, right? They are still civilized. They may be evil, but they are doing things in certain ways, and there are variances between how evil you are and what you're doing as part of that evil, and to what extent you're serving the Demonweb queen. So the queen lives in the abyss. Lolth lives in the abyss, and she is a goddess there. She's a demon lord, and her domain is called the Demonweb pits, and sort of based on the idea of a spider. So in the abyss, demons can shape their environment if they control the area. So she gets to shape it into whatever she wants to be. And so some areas of the abyss are super cold or super hot, or they're bubbling pools of acid. And Lolth has this sort of spider web-like kind of passages made of spider web, and then portals to lots of different dimensions. So that's probably a good overview about it. Let's go fight Lolth. Lolth is unfortunately easy. So I'm just going to walk in and let her kind of hit me a bunch of times so we can kind of see what she does. I mean, first of all, she looks really cool. This is based, I think, primarily on the 4th edition art that kind of influenced this design, though it has a lot of versions that look back to the art that, appears even in the classic adventures. The first scenario for the drow up here in the Fiend Folio, this apparently does no damage whatsoever. I never noticed that. Like, she does not actually harm me. Wow. I didn't notice that because I would just tear into her and take her down, but apparently Lolth in this quest doesn't hurt you. Wow, that's fantastic. So we can talk about her all we want. I could have been just doing this while I was telling her story. So yeah, Lolth, who can take various forms. So this is her sort of combo form. She can be, in some versions of the game, just a spider. And I think in all versions, she can also just look like a beautiful elven drow, if that's what she chooses to do. This art has been used in 4th edition, this kind of coloration and style. It's appeared in Magic the Gathering cards for the Forgotten Realms set. Depending on the version, she has more or fewer arms and things like that, but it's very cool. I totally dig it. And often she has a sort of like Black Widow marking, which I don't see here exactly. But it's still very cool. There's kind of red indicators there. So this whole time, it's really my companion's been doing damage. If I attack her, you can see like just a single attack does a whole bunch of damage. So we just get a really watered down version here of Lolth, and we can take her down at our leisure. I have no idea why it's this easy. It really shouldn't be. It should be still thrilling, but it's cool. She's neat. It's neat to kind of just see. It's certainly an epic place, even if it's not an epic battle. I'm not clear why there's that giant door to the Narbondel, but that is, the idea is that she's going to be shunted away there. We're not going to defeat her. We get about halfway, almost halfway to the her health, and then this cutscene happens, right? The device gets wheeled in by the house mages. It activates, and it forces her back into the abyss, I believe. Yeah, there we go. Dun dun dun. So yeah, Nori has activated the realm engine. We see it spinning above, and Lolth has been shunted off. I don't think you can come into this area. Now, one thing that often works well in this game, and yeah, so I can't really go in there, is to kind of help players understand the mechanics or the location or things like that of what will come in other content. And that's the case here, because all of this is sort of the beginning to the Demonweb Pits dungeon. And dungeon is sort of the term for things where a group of players go and take that on as sort of content that tends to have high rewards in the Neverwinter MMO. So the dungeon, you know, when you do it, then it looks familiar, and sometimes the mechanics are a bit familiar, and it sort of helps to understand what your expectations are, and you get up to speed faster while still seeing that there are new tricks in the dungeon version. So we faced Lolth. You face her in a slightly different situation in the dungeon. At some point, I'll capture that. But that's all very cool, and we can talk to Nori Benray, and we have completed that mission. She says, that didn't really go according to plan, but I think Lolth has been worn down a bit. Well, as much as a god can be, I suppose. We'll have to keep fueling the engine to hold back the abyss for now. If you plan to confront Grumph and Lolth again, you will probably want to gather some fellow adventurers. Of course, they will likely be expecting you to be prepared. Okay, you know, that's fine. That's cool. And we get a quest, which every week we can do what we just did. We do basically the exact same thing, face off against Lolth, slaughter all those demons, and get through there. So that's where we are. To me, this is a very strong story piece. I'm still playing through. Some of my other characters are a little further, but not that much further necessarily. This is sort of the main story that I've hit so far. So I'm excited to see where this goes next. We've got a functioning realm engine. We've unraveled the mystery of what was going on, right? We know the plot. And I think in theory we stopped them. I mean, I'm curious to see whether this is going to be like the Northdark campaign, where there's all this extra stuff but no extra story. I mean, you know, like last time it was like, just get some weapons in the Northdark campaign, or is it going to be something else? So we shall find out and see what comes next. All right, so here we are back in our lab with the Baenre and Fey Branch folks in this, you know, warehouse they've got. We've got our realm engine that we've put together with parts we salvaged in various quests. But as much as that may feel, and apparently we stopped Lolth, maybe? But as much as that may seem like we've reached the end, there's more to do. We go to the Viris Arcentlar again, and he asks us to do something related to mending that which is broken. So we've deployed the realm engine, we stopped Grumph Baenre, we thwarted Lolth's plans, but hey, there's much work that remains to be done. There is? Okay, sure. Say more. I'm a hero. So we get the Chasing Chaos quest, and it says, locate abyssal magic, place absorbing mythalar in them, and why. The realm engine is active and suppressing the lion's share of the abyssal energies flowing into the city, but we have to do what we can to repair the damage that's been done to the weave. Which is kind of interesting. I mean, the weave, we often think of it as being the kind of web of magic that kind of overlays the world and allows spells and everything to exist. A spellcaster taps into that weave, kind of pushes things together and makes them into some magical effect. And those can have sort of both local things and larger things. And a lot of times we're just thinking about the larger, the state of the weave itself. But maybe they mean here like the local weave has some sort of issue. So Zeknar has come up with a means to use channeling conduits to siphon off energy from magical fonts within the Narbondellyn. Once you have placed several conduits, I want you to enter and close some lesser abyssal tears. While you keep the fiends dwelling within occupied, our mages will attempt to use the energies to knit the weave back together. Okay, I kind of buy that. So the idea is, hey, we still have all these problems because of all these rifts. You haven't stopped the whiffs. So go do that. So, okay, place absorbing conduits. And it's a little bit confusing because fortunately, there's a trail to follow. Because we did a quest that was a lot like it. We were sort of like putting some sort of taps in place on abyssal energies, and there was kind of like a little orange cloud that we were somehow tapping into. So, gee, wouldn't that work? But this is apparently different. In theory, this city, sure, it has like lots of bad guys, but most of them should be actually on our side. They should be actual good guys. And so it's really kind of hard to understand why this many folks are attacking us. And I get the game of it, but like the reality of it makes no sense. This is still like a city that's supposed to be under our power. And I think they should have just plot-wise rewritten it as like, hey, the whole city has fallen into Grom Fanra's plans, and we're holding out in this one little warehouse with the few people who are loyal to this cause. All right, so I placed an absorbing conduit. I guess this is a lot like the other absorbing conduits. Maybe they're in slightly different places. I am so close to channeling this energy for a plot reason. Here I am, absorbing conduit, redirecting energies. Sometimes I think all plot quests came from Star Trek, but historically that must not be true. All right, I've done that. And now it tells me to close Abyssal Tears, which is a bit of a nuisance because I already did the Abyssal Tear quest. But yeah, what it means is I need to do Abyssal quests, Abyssal Tear quests, where you go into the rifts and seal them. And when I do enough of those, then it will close off. So I'm going to kind of do that without needing video of it. You've seen what an abyssal rift looks like, so I don't really need to do it again. So we turn in our quest to Veer Ice? I don't know. So while you were keeping the fiends occupied, our mages were able to use the harvested energy to repair portions of the weave. We are still a long way off from halting the abyssal incursions, sure, but this is a task measured in years, not days. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to go somewhere else to save the world, but sure. Take this token of our gratitude, in other words, currency of the campaign. Stay near, I'm sure we'll need you again. And that felt very final right there. Like, it's interesting how I think all three of these campaigns have sort of had the feeling that you've done the thing you needed to do. Let me see what I'm looking like. So plenty of capability to turn in quests. So I guess I'll just turn all these in. So these are all repeat quests that I'm being assigned. I did finish that kind of weekly for doing a bunch of stuff, but am I looking at the wrong one? I am looking at the wrong one. Okay. So I get a reward for having reached this piece, probably with more currency than I needed to. But so I get two different rewards. One is I get a set of artifacts from House Banray, a brooch and wrap. So it's a necklace and belt item. So it's the kind of thing that goes in these kinds of little slots. You can see these kind of teal colored ones. So it's kind of gear that you can use. I don't think these are very good, but you get them there, and if you need them, you can. The other thing is I have completed now this task, which gives me one of those boon points that I talked about before that just upgrades my character. I could technically turn in more in, but there's sort of no point to it since I'm already at my maximum currency and I need to wait for next week. I also see that I have a quest, It's a Dirty Job, which is to defeat demons and close abyssal tears. So Vizinthra has found a way to harness some latent chaotic energy from the ichor that demons of the abyss leave behind after they've been defeated. It's a messy job, yeah, but it is part of cleaning up after Grumph and Lolth. Okay. I need you to go and dispatch demons. Once they've been reduced to ichor, the ambient chaotic energy will be released and collected by the conduits that you placed earlier. Okay, at least I like the story kind of feeds into itself. After this energy has been harvested, we'll then need you to enter and close some abyssal tears. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, what I like is that I can do the one part now, and then the next part I can do with my weekly mission to close rifts next week. So yeah, let's take a look at what it is, which really, unfortunately, is just tear up some demons. But we can use that excuse to go to our demon area. I mean, there are demons everywhere, right? Like right there, you can see demons. But we can go to the more heavily demon-filled area, which we can do. Actually, we can get to it from over this way, which is kind of fun. It's easy to forget that it works, but you can go over here and around this way and get to all these demons. So this is an area that's full of demons and allows me to, yeah, just everything that I'm killing is a demon versus demons plus drow. Wow, I'm getting quite beaten up. So it goes, so it goes. Me and Glebrazuz. I don't know why he's just kind of sitting there like he's trapped. Maybe my companion isn't pinned. Or maybe I had pinned, because sometimes the pin works and keeps things. My powers are supposed to like immobilize creatures. It's amazing how poorly they work. But yeah, so chaotic energy from demons. I've taken down 4. Here's another guy. So there we go. We've got the energy from the demons. So now that all these demons have been killed and that black ichor was apparently collected somehow, it's not entirely clear how I did it. I now can do the next part, which is to close abyssal tears. So those rifts, I will close them just like we just did. 3, we'll do another 3 next week. And when I do that, it will complete. There's no sense in doing it now. All right, so here we are again in the Narbondellyn district. And I just want to take a last kind of pass through these gorgeous, gorgeous city streets, this awesome drow neighborhood in Menzoberranzan. Really, really cool with these glow mushrooms. I mean, it's neat. Like the idea that a fashionable district would have just really neat looking luminescent fungi growing all over the place. That's really cool. And what we've done is we've done enough quests now to turn in our last quest here. And when we do this, we can complete the campaign of the Demonweb pits. And we click claim reward, and you can see the last part of this is sort of a cool choice of rings. So it's a mechanical benefit, getting these rings that we can use. It completes the last step in the campaign. After that, we can accumulate currency in the game and buy various doohickeys. Some things are, mechanical boosts, and some things are consumables and nice to haves and all of that. And we also will get a series of additional quests. We talked about these quests that you can get from this drow that are sort of a 2-step process. And this one is kind of the last one in the series. It's not really a great story, but what it says is, hey, go do the big heroic encounter and kill that pit boss. And then after that, close some abyssal tears through the hunt system. And it does say that the only way standing in the way of restoring the city are the activities of Grump's minions. So, we helped Lolth go away. We now will defeat this pit boss. It sort of pretends that it would be like the only time you're doing this, and maybe the last time you're doing it. I don't know. It's a little weak story, if you ask me. But I have really enjoyed the idea of how we, worked to take down all of these, like put together this machine, right? And find the remnants of the machine, find the plans for the machine, right? The adventure took us all over this neighborhood, doing all of those various activities, doing hunts, rescuing people from abyssal rifts, going into the Demonweb pits. And so really at this point, I have done the campaign. The campaign now has a check mark. Any quests I turn in just give me additional currency as long as not at the weekly cap. And that's kind of it. So we're done. As the last 2 campaigns in this series, and I believe this is the last of the Drow series, at least for now, this does not kind of end at the end with a big climax. It ended kind of 3/4 of the way through when we faced off against Lolth and stopped Gromp's ritual, which Lolth had tricked Gromp into performing again, as has happened several times in the lore of this. So now what's left is we only have one thing, which is the actual Demonweb pits adventure. And there is the Demonweb pits, and this dungeon, I guess I need higher AL to run it. But that dungeon, of which there's 2 versions, has the premise that, hey, you succeeded in getting the Realm Engine. You've stopped most of the effects that are coming from trying to summon Lolth to the Prime Material Plane, and you've contained them. But Nuri Benray is worried that her Uncle Gromf and his followers will attempt to disrupt the magics that have halted the Abyssal Incursion, once again putting the city at risk. So basically go do it again. Travel to the foot of the Narbondel, thwart Gromp's plans, venture into the depths of the Demonweb pits. So that is the only part that's left, and as I did with the Menzoberranzan campaign, I will do this as a separate video in case folks want to see kind of how it works. I'll run the easiest version of it so we don't have to worry about survival. The hard one is quite hard. I'll share that video separately. And that'll really close out this experience. So this really is the end of a big Drow Saga, right? We talked about the old adventures, the Rothe Valley. We talked about going into the Whispering Caverns and all of the drow and mind flares that were going on. And then we got to do this North Dark Reaches with the Myconids and the Myconid kind of godlike being there, Menzoberranzan and the city at war and are playing a part with it and interacting with famous characters. And then the Demonweb pits, where we come and we use a mythal to put a mythal back together and are able to repel the efforts of Lolth, who apparently was behind all of this, right? And all of this tying into the Drizzt and R.A. Salvatore novels and additional experiences that have happened over the history of the Neverwinter game, as well as the Forgotten Realms themselves. So a ton of lore. I hope you enjoyed hearing all that lore. I hope you'll enjoy this next video that takes place showing the Demonweb Pits run. It's kind of neat. It's a departure from the classic adventure somewhat, but still very cool. And the next thing that's going to happen is Spelljammer. So that is apparently where the game is going to go to next. And there have already been some really neat shots showing some gorgeous scenes that are in space. If you like the work that I do, please consider going to the Drive-Thru RPG site to pick up the 2 products that you see here, or to the DM's Guild to find my work that is available there. If you go to alphastream.org, you can find lots of ways to support me, from Patreon to checking out my videos like this one, reading my blog, supporting the podcast of Mastering Dungeons. And you will find that if you join my Patreon, you will get both of these products that you see here for free. And just signing on to my mailing list at alphastream.org will get you one of them for free. Thank you so much for watching and supporting my work.